The Boston Red Sox are playing a meaningful baseball game tomorrow, Thursday afternoon, in Arlington. Globe Life Field, historic Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, is where the Red Sox will kick off their 2025 season against the Texas Rangers. And this is one that has a lot of hype to it. The more hype we've had around a Red Sox team, most hype we've had around a Red Sox team in a while here. There have been some hopeful years, but this almost seems hopeful to a fault. Okay, because I've been on here saying the Red Sox could and should be a playoff team. We've obviously seen the injuries that have hit the Yankees this year already before even kicking off the season. There's certainly a door open or a window open for the Red Sox to qualify for the postseason in this, what will still be kind of tough, American League East. Okay, because don't count out Baltimore either. And yet, as I think about the question marks I have for this team going into the season, there are a lot, okay? There are a lot of question marks I have about this team. There's a lot of Red Sox fans and analysts, myself included in one of those pools, that are ready to crown the Red Sox as a playoff team because all of these guys that we're talking about are going to have best case scenario. So that's why I wanted to ask my 4 biggest questions about the Red Sox going into this 2025 season, because 5 questions would be far too even or odd. Anyway, the 4 questions that I have about the Red Sox leading into this season. First one, don't look past your opening day starter, Garrett Crochet. He's the first guy I think of when I think of the copium/hopium that Red Sox fans have going into this year, myself included. Garrett Crochet is a top-of-the-line starter, top-of-the-rotation guy. His stuff is nasty. He's looked great in spring training. He looks like, another kind of Chris Sale type that you can put at the top of your rotation. Now, Chris Sale had this issue with the Red Sox. Garrett Crochet has already had this issue to start his career, is how much are you going to get out of him? Threw 146 innings last year. It's the only time he's been over 100 innings in his career. He's already had Tommy John, which, just about every young pitcher has had at this point, right? Like, that's just kind of what it is in Major League Baseball in 2025. But what does that next step look like for him on a contending team? He's only played for bad teams in MLB. In Chicago, he played for the worst team in history last year. Can he get that natural progression of something like 170 innings? And if that is the case, can he be durable enough for the postseason? Because we saw, again, using the Chris Sale comparison, as great as he was, he couldn't pitch a full season. And he was always out of gas by the time the playoffs rolled around. Is that what you're going to run into with Garrett Crochet here? How can you manage him throughout the season? Because if you get the high end of Garrett Crochet, yes, you should be a playoff team. You'll look damn good, right? But we still need to see this guy be an ace for a contending team, a playoff-bound team. And I think it's wise for the Red Sox to see if they have that before they extend him, because I know a lot of fans are up in arms about that they haven't extended him before opening day. I'm okay with if you're the Red Sox, you're going to have to pay market value anyway. Why not wait till you can actually see that he does the job? And hopefully you don't piss him off too much. So that's my first question. Number 2 kind of goes with the number 2 starter as well, but it goes beyond that. We're looking at the 2 big all-stars for the Red Sox last year, Jarren Duran and Tanner Houck. Each were involved with a home run in the all-star game last year. But how do you get all-star caliber seasons out of those guys again? I think that's an important question. Jarren Duran, here's a guy who finished top 10 in the MVP voting last year. He had an excellent year kind of breaking out in 2025. He was a guy who had all these, triples. He was leading the league in triples for the season. You have 14 on the year, 21 homers, 75 RBI at the top of the rotation, or the top of the lineup, excuse me. Average dip towards the end of the year, but hitting at 285, OPS of 834 for your leadoff hitter, a WAR of almost 9. You going to get that again? God, I hope so. You could. But this is a guy who hadn't had anything near that in his major league career going into 2024. He also had 34 stolen bases, by the way. He's an excellent base runner. Like you hadn't seen anything like that from him before 2024. So that's a regular question. Like, is he going to produce something like that again? Can you count on him at the top of your order and what he gave you defensively and how improved he was defensively in 2024? That's half of question number 2, because the other is Tanner Houck. He was kind of your bulldog guy last year, right? He was your mainstay in the rotation. You kind of looked past the Brian Bayo issues because you like Tanner Houck so much, and he makes the All-Star team. But then the second half of his season is weird. He hit his innings limit, his career high in innings, I should say, at the beginning of July. And that July, August, September was really up and down. He had 11 to 14 strikeout to walk ratio in July. That was awful, but then bounced back and made it 27 to 13 in August. So, okay, maybe he can last a whole season, or maybe he can't based off what you've seen in spring training, because he's been horrible. I know the games don't count, but when you're looking at a guy who's probably used more than he's ever been in his life last year, and then he sucks in spring training, that's a red flag. And by sucks, I mean 13 innings and 4 starts where he's given up 17 earned runs, an ERA over 11, and a whip of 2.5. That's not going to get it done, man. That's terrible. So can you replicate anything close to what you had in all-star seasons out of those 2 guys in 2025? That will be key. There's all kinds of health questions in the starting rotation for the Red Sox, right? It's Crochet. It's a little bit of Houck. It's when Bayo is going to be available. It's when Giolito is going to be available. It's what kind of Walker Buehler are you going to get? I said it about a month ago. Like, let's say your rotation has 6 or 7 guys. Let's throw in, the great story of Sean Newcomb, and, Richard Fitz is obviously in there to start the season. So, like, those guys, if I'm giving you 7 starters at the beginning of the year, you're going to hope to get out of those guys 4 good starters. Okay? Like, that's production-wise, that's what you're looking to get out of them. So there's all kinds of questions around the health in this rotation. But I wanted to go with questions past health, which is what we're going to do in question number 3. Masataka Yoshida. What do you do with that guy? Okay, they've kind of made up a faux injury here so they can send him down to Worcester to start the year in a rehab assignment, but he's got 20 days. 20 days in Worcester before they kind of need to do something. And where does he fit in now? Because if Devers is going to be DHing, that means you've got to put Yoshida in the outfield, which, to be quite honest, he doesn't really fit into already. And there's going to be a point in this year where you're going to want to call up Roman Anthony, and you don't want Masataka Yoshida blocking that. I wouldn't want him blocking that right now. I am notoriously kind of a Yoshida hater at this point. I don't see the value he brings you at the price tag that he is, especially with you're finally in kind of a good position roster-wise, where you don't have to solely rely on what Masataka Yoshida can bring you. 20 days. Are they going to DFA this guy? That's on the table. They can really DFA Masataka Yoshida by May. Or are they going to trade him? I would personally like a trade. I'd be interested to see what you can get for him. I thought he would have been a good dangle piece in a move for a starting pitcher, like a Crochet move. And that those rumors kind of fizzled out by the time the offseason came around. But I'm interested to see what you can get for him. You're going to have to eat a good chunk of that contract, which is not good. So it might bring down the asking price. But I was thinking if you put him with someone like Wilyer Abreu, you could have brought it, or Tristan Casas, which is what they were talking about with a Seattle trade. That could have really helped you bring something good in return. But right now, Masataka Yoshida does not fit into this lineup. He does not fit into this team on the field or at the plate. So I just, maybe they'll get bailed out in a respect, and someone will get hurt in the first 3 weeks that they'll need to bring Yoshida back up, and they find a way for him to play 3 or 4 times a week. But the money you're paying him to play 3 or 4 times a week, that ain't working. And obviously the biggest question number 4, the question that most Red Sox fans have, is not the starting rotation, but the bullpen, mainly the closer role. Where are you going here? I am definitely of the belief that closers are a dime a dozen in that you just kind of happen upon them every year, and you get guys who can do it for a year or two. They have gone out the last 2 years and gotten two guys with extensive closing experience. They went out and they got Liam Hendriks last year. They got Aroldis Chapman this year. Chapman is the guy to start the season, but is he your guy by the end of the season? Because the guy's 37. He's not the pitcher he was 3 or 4 years ago. The Rangers fans can tell you that. The Pirates fans can tell you that. The Yankees fans can tell you that. Right? The Royals fans too. He's been on 4 teams the last 3 years. And last year, he, again, at age 36 to 37, 14 saves in 68 appearances. His FIP skyrocketed. It's well over 3 now. And his strikeout to walk ratio is down to 2.5. I wasn't a huge fan of Chapman like 2 or 3 years ago, let alone age 37. And I think he's a bad guy. Liam Hendriks, good guy, not very good at throwing the baseball anymore. Liam Hendriks from Perth, Australia. It wasn't that bad. He stunk in spring training. When you finally got to look at Liam Hendriks, 9.95 spring training ERA in only 6 innings. Okay? And he's putting more than 2 guys on base in each of those innings. But he did get a save in spring training. So is he going to be able to help you at all at age 36? 36 and 37-year-olds out there trying to stabilize this bullpen. I'll tell you the guy who probably should be getting more of a look at closer. A guy who has been their closer in the past. A guy they stuck in the starting rotation because he had a couple different pitches, even though he continued to struggle as a starter and was very effective in multiple roles in the bullpen. Garrett Whitlock. He seems to finally be healthy again, and they've been putting him in the bullpen in spring training, and he's the only guy that's been really effective in spring training. And again, take those with a grain of salt, however you will. They're practice games. But with how bad Liam Hendriks and Liam Hendriks and guys like Tanner Houck were, it's refreshing to see Garrett Whitlock having 11 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings. 2 strikeouts an inning kind of guy, the way he was in 2021. Like, he was such a valuable asset for you out of the bullpen in 21. He was a huge reason you made the playoffs the last time you made the playoffs. I'm not ready to just say, Garrett Whitlock's 7th inning guy. I'm okay with Garrett Whitlock getting a shot at the closer role. And if those things go right, if 3 of those 4 things go right in those 4 questions, you had a stable bullpen, and Tanner Houck and Jarren Duran are all-star kind of players, and Garrett Crochet is the ace of the rotation, then this team is a playoff team. I expect Bregman to take a step up. I expect Casas to be more healthy, even though he's got something going on with the hand right now with that ground ball in Monterey. But this should be a playoff team. But you do need a lot of these question marks to go become exclamation points for that to happen. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What is your biggest question about this 2025 Red Sox team, and how far do you expect them to go? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are here live every weekday, high noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcast. Check out the subscription and the other videos that we have on the YouTube channel right now. And for Zach Burke, I'm Cam Stewart. We will see you tomorrow on a little ditty we like to call The Cam Show.